Hi Gemini, welcome to Get Life 333 Tarot. My name is Jackie. Thanks so much for joining me. This is going to be a You're Not Together But You Don't Feel Finished card. Spread rather. I did the last 2 weeks of March already and the first 2 of April. I do want to just give a little caveat here. If you're with a narcissist or you broke up with a narcissist, this is not your reading. This is not like, you know, for the serial cheater or the, you know, the really bad alcoholic or the drug addict or, and those are things, all those things are super sad. But there are frequently narcissistic tendencies that go along with that. I've been in that kind of relationship, and as I've been saying, that reading would be titled You're Not Together Anymore, and thank God for that. So I know it's very painful, but this is more for those of you out there who were in a relationship and you guys have broken up and you're in that weird space. You know that space I'm talking about, right? It's like you went through a cycle of, you know, break up, get back together, break up, get back together, and like you just aren't really sure where you're at right now. So we're gonna pull I'm gonna pull 2 Wisdom of the oracles for a crowning energy of challenge, just to have an idea what you guys are challenged in. Then I'm going to use vice versa and then the Rider-Waite. So a couple of questions while I'm laying the cards out, that I've been getting a lot of questions about the sun, moon, rising, Venus, even beyond the questions that I mentioned in my last video. So just so you guys understand, your sun is your ego, your rising is how people see you and your perspective of the everyday. And your moon is your emotions, and Venus is love. So it would stand to reason then that you should definitely know, if you're going to be consulting tarot for anything having to do with love or relationships, that you really should know your Venus and your moon signs. Those are really, really important. I even will go as far as saying it's important for you to understand your Mars sign as well, because your Mars sign is what indicates how you handle conflict. You know, so I think that's important too, right? When you're dealing with relationships. Not that you want to have conflict, but it's important to understand how you handle things, you know, and your partner. So if you're not sure about those things, Google free birth chart calculators. And if you don't know, there are so many of them out there, guys, honestly, like, don't pay for that from anybody ever. Because there are so many really good ones, you know. You just need to know, obviously, your name, your location. Preferably, you really kind of need to know your time of birth if you're going to get accurate. Really, really accurate information. Accurate meaning, because your moon and your rising, it kind of changes every few hours, so... But you can at least find out your Venus for sure. And if you're not sure of the time, you have no idea how to handle that part, just put in 12 a.m. as a default, you know. Okay. Yeah, but it's important for us to know those things. And also, you know, this is a general reading, guys. So if this doesn't resonate with you, check out one of those other signs too. I know for me, I resonate. I have the same rising and Venus, and I resonate a lot more with. I hardly resonate with my sun. So. It's just, you know, I could just tell you from my own experience. So, yeah, and again, these are general messages, so take what resonates and throw out the rest. Because those of you who are my subscribers, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate you tuning in. You guys know I do really try very hard to get as specific messages as I can possibly get. I'm relatively new to YouTube. So this idea of a general read, I really, I fought it for a long time. But I do think that even if one person resonates and it brings one of you a little bit of help and understanding, then it's worth it. Yeah. Okay. So let's get into this. Gemini, your crowning energy is go the distance. All right. You have been just feeling a little lost. Like you're wandering through a desert for ages and ages and nothing is happening. Yet so much is happening. It's this very interesting space. Yeah. Yeah. This is a time of developing This is going to sound very dramatic, but a time of developing survival skills, Gemini. And resilience. Really being able to snap back. Yeah. That you're going to be in a time here where, and you're going to be in a time learning these things, and it's going to absolutely be a challenge for you. It is. This is not a comfortable space. But you're going to be really learning how to conserve your strength when you need to be very selective about where you expend your energy. That's not easy for a Gemini at all. It's just not. You know, you really want to listen to the call of your soul during this time, because it will never lead you astray. This is a really important time for letting go of what's not important anymore. And look, yeah, I mean, that makes sense, right? I mean, those of you who watched my the first 2 weeks of April, I do talk a lot about Jupiter and the South Node influence. And Jupiter and the South Node influence is asking us to really take a hard look at not only ourselves where we are now, but our past. Everything up until this point. Do we have scars? Do we still have junk in our trunk from whenever? It's time to get rid of it. But at the same time, Judo also wants us to hold on to what's good and what's beautiful, because we all have some good and beautiful things in our lives. So you don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater, as they say. So this is a time of really trying to decipher, you know, what's good, what's bad, which is really what motivated me to want to do this reading, because through the comments, and I try to read as many of the comments as I possibly can, a lot of us are in very weird spaces in our relationship, and I don't even know like another adjective other than weird. It's just wacky, you know? That's another adjective, but anyway. Yeah, so I just figured, since we're all needing to face what are we getting rid of, what are we keeping, why not throw the relationships into this, especially the ones that are on in that cuspy place. So, yeah, let's get right into it here. So Gemini, that was your crowning energy, and your partner's crowning energy is flexible. So your partner is absolutely struggling with this, which indicates a mindset and a stance of rigidity, being just really rigid. You know, and the thing is, with rigidity, when you're rigid like that, it'll set you up for a fight where there are only losers, no winners, right? I mean, they don't win and you don't win, and it's just a hot mess. So this is really calling for them to reevaluate the way they handle situations. And this does not necessarily mean, when I say rigid, it doesn't necessarily mean a screamer and a yeller. You know what I mean? Like that archetype. It just means somebody who is so inflexible in their thinking. You know, very old school, you know, somebody who's borderline obsessed with either tradition or, equally so, a new way of thinking. You know, where they don't want to go along with the mainstream thinking, or they want to be with the mainstream. It's just a very black and white kind of thing. And Gemini, like, I mean, honestly, like, you know, the archetype of the Gemini, you know, you guys are just so open and just so, like, you know, like, beautiful, open, accepting, go with the flow. I mean, you have your stuff, but like in that way, you get very stuck on what you like and you know what you don't like, but you're very reasonable in your approach. And I'm getting almost an unreasonable energy from there. So let's see how that ends up playing out as we go along. So let's just see what your cards here. So here we're starting off with the Eight of Cups, and this says that when matters of the heart have proven too painful to persist, you needed to go. And there is no fault in that, in walking away, because no one knows you better than you at the end of the day, right? So, you know, you're thinking here that the path forward was going to be really challenging, right? Because let's just say in the context of you guys having broken up, you know, you moving forward, it's going to be pretty challenging, yeah, but often the hardest part is actually making that decision to cut the ties, you know, cut your losses and just leave what's broken behind. That's the hard part. And honestly, that's always the hard part. The hard part in a relationship is never identifying what the problem is, really. Because the facts are the facts. Things are said, things are done, and if we just look at that on face value, it's what's there. But what's really hard is to evaluate our willingness to stay in a situation and our partner's willingness to own up to what's going on, and even our willingness to own up to what's gone on. Not only even if we haven't necessarily done anything, what have we allowed to be perpetuated, you know? So these are all questions that we need to ask ourselves. And then we have the Two of Wands here, and this energy indicates that you're just thinking about everything. You're thinking about the whys, you know, why did this or that really happen? Not just like what they did was so fill in the blank. But you really trying to understand the why, trying to be really, really logical here, super logical with this energy, you know? Yeah, so, and Gemini, you get like, you're thinking at this point, so because I'm feeling like this was right, this was kind of like during the breakup, before the breakup, slightly post the breakup. You're just really asking yourself, okay, so if I stay in this, what is that going to look like? What's on the other side of that? Keeping it real, what is this going to be if I stay in this? Yeah, and that's pretty clear. That's a very clear message. And then we have death, and you realize that staying in this wasn't going to serve your higher good or purpose. Yeah, but also this indicates that you've been given a choice to prove yourself. And the outcome is going to be really, really positive. So it's like there's change here that you needed to have in order for some sort of self-growth to happen. And that self-growth is going to be incredibly positive for you. And this energy just indicates, you know, to respond to this change with grace and dignity, you know. Grace is such an important thing to have in such times, you know. It's very hard to hold it together when we're feeling all up in our gigs, you know, with our emotions. It's hard. I don't care what anybody says. And then we have the Queen of Wands. Gemini, you began feeling really excited about life again. Your intuition was just full-blown once again, and you were just... How do I explain this? Making lemonade out of lemons, okay? This is what I feel. I feel like the breakup happened, you came to terms with it, and you just started to focus on more positive things, which is such a Gemini thing to do, really. It's like you're so in one mindset, you can be really upset, and then like something really cool passes you by, or a great idea, and you are able to have your attention diverted for a time. I mean, that's where the twin comes in. It's like they'll pull you out of it. Now you're so depressed and all of this nonsense. Come on, let's go. Look at this. Isn't this fun? Isn't this exciting? Let's look at life again. Let's be something again, you know. The only thing that this energy does warn is careful with the schedule. You want to be careful with the schedule with this. You might have gone through a period where you started to actually like maybe overbook yourself or get too involved in things. And look, you know, keeping it real, it could have been to sort of escape and bury yourself from the pain that you, I'm sure, we're feeling throughout this, okay? I mean, because these things are just incredibly hard. You know, they're hard. And then we have the Seven of Swords reversed. And here, this is like, this energy is pushing you to think things through as though you were your partner. And what I mean by that is you're trying to figure out, okay, let me front load that with the fact I'm letting my energy, the messages I'm getting, get all wonked up together. I feel like you are suspecting that your partner is going to try to get back with you. And you're trying to set up every possible scenario in your head. So here you are in this really great space of acceptance and moving your life forward, making the best of everything that you can. At the same time, you definitely feel your partner thinking about coming back, okay? And you're trying to troubleshoot every possible scenario. So there's a tendency here to want to give up that you have to be mindful of, rather than to take a stand. But don't, all right? Think like them from the perspective of anticipating needing to somehow defend yourself in this situation. Just get your thoughts together. You know, think about every possible situation that could possibly go on And I know that's a ridiculous thing to say because you can't do that. But to the best of your ability, keeping it real, try to do that. And then, because then we have the Queen of Swords, you know, because from this point, you're going to be able to assess the entire situation with more confidence, right? Because you're really thinking everything through, right? So then you're in this Queen of Swords energy where you're like sitting, like you're ready. Not that you're waiting, but you're ready, okay? And you just have more confidence, and you just are really focused on getting to the truth. First and foremost, getting underneath the psychological motives for their actions and their attitudes, and just why everything played out, because something did. If your partner is this level of inflexible that I'm getting, and again, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're an aggressive individual. They could really be quite, you know, quite mellow and endearing, but still be very inflexible. There's something under that. People who are that kind of inflexible are nursing an insecurity. It's something that they don't want to let go of how they view things. They don't want to let go of their belief system, because if they do, two things happen. One, they're not going to feel as in control, and two, they're going to wonder then what actually makes them up. If they're made to question their thought process that's taken them as far as they've gone in life. So you have to understand that this is going on, and I know you vibe it because you have that Queen of Swords energy. And if you're going to deal with this individual, it's important that you understand that. Now, some of you might have clicked off already, say, you know, F them, they did A, B, and C, and I don't even want to have to give them any level of understanding. Then this reading isn't for you. For those of you who are resonating with this, it's just a matter of trying to figure out their process to the best of your ability, but understand that you have to approach it from a point of trying to figure out, and the advice here from the cards is that try to figure out where your partner might feel insecure. They, you know, yeah. All right, let me go on. I don't want to get ahead of myself here. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because here, all right. I mean, let's get to your partner. We got the Queen of Swords. This is, what? What? Okay. This is the thing. When you have two queens that are close together, when you have two court cards that are close together, it usually means something. And here with the two queen cards, it means rivalry. Okay? Something very important for you to understand. Some of you are probably like, ding, light bulb, absolutely. Where you and your partner just argued about the dumbest things. It became more of a one-upping kind of thing. So this definitely indicates rivalry. So let's just go into it knowing that, okay? But they're really looking to understand themselves here. This is what I'm getting, that they were going through something, and I feel like it was before your breakup. They were totally going through something, and they were really trying to understand their ethics, their memories, what makes them up, situations in their life, turns of events that have taken place in their life. They're trying to make heads or tails out of it. They're not feeling good about it. Look, their back is turned. They don't even want to look at us. So there's definitely this energy of them feeling like let down in some way. Something happened in their life to make them feel this way. And this is the thing, Gemini, I'm getting that because you were the closest person to them, you ended up getting the brunt of it. You know? And this is a person who holds a grudge big time. They hold a grudge, though they typically will never admit it. And they're going to hold that grudge until amends are made. They just are. But generally, okay, you know, the type this type of person also is somebody who remembers a favor and does pay it forward when the time comes, and they do try to, not even going to say own their stuff because it's the wrong word, but they will ultimately admit a wrongdoing. I do get that. They're very rigid in their thought, but if you catch them in something and you lay it out for them, they will end up coming around to admit this to you. But I feel like, yeah, I mean, look, we have the Tower because something happened. But I feel like, Gemini, something happened with you. Very seemingly, but maybe not so seemingly, suddenly. And it's so, it just... All right, something happened. I didn't say that correctly. Something happened that rubbed you so the wrong way that you saw no choice but to cut it right then and there. Yeah. And the question here is, did your partner have the inner and outer resources needed to deal with this big change? Yeah, I'm thinking no. Something happened. This could have been a conversation that you guys had. This could have been a fight you guys had. This could be something that you found out. See, it's not a devil card, so I don't feel like it was like shady behavior. I just feel like it was something came to light about your partner that I hate to say this, but turned you off so badly. And guys, I have to say this, the energies could be flipped. So everything I'm saying for your partner, I could, could apply to you. And what I said about you could apply to them. This is a general read, so the energy could be flipped, but definitely something happened. Something happened and there was a crumbling down of the relationship. And this is, I feel like this is right here. This is where you guys broke up. So then we have the Two of Pentacles, and this is the thing. They did not feel ready. They did not feel ready for that. They did not. They didn't expect your reaction. They didn't expect it. And they feel like they're not being cut a fair shake in and I want to say areas of finance, because we do have Pentacles, or figuring out any struggles that they may be having even mentally or emotionally. Because while Cups is emotions, the Pentacles can represent like our level of feeling supported and our level of being able to cope. That's more of a Pentacle thing. So yeah, I mean, maybe they were having just some real issues with depression, feeling a little emotionally unstable, But Gemini, this is the thing. I get that they were not talking to you about it very much. So what the hell is that about? What are you, a mind reader? You can't be a mind reader, right? They weren't talking to you about it. Or not enough. Not enough. Really. See, their conversations about their struggles, it was happening more like between their ears than out in the open. And that ended up creating a lot of issues for you guys, because this is where I get like they expected you to understand stuff that you weren't being given the tools to understand. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I'm getting here. Okay, and then we have the Lovers reverse. So, it became so that your relationship got out of balance. You guys just started going head to head on stuff, and the shadow side of both of your personalities came out for a show. And your partner started to question if the initial attraction and values that you guys once held as a couple, haven't somehow been corrupted by this turn of events. But you know what? I think they're thinking it's turn of events, but I feel like this was a long time in the making. But they were acting like it was out of the blue. I don't know. That's what I'm getting. Okay, and then we have the Ace of Cups, but then Gemini. You guys went into the space of fighting. You guys broke up. They're feeling like garbage. You guys are arguing and all of this. But then something happens here. Something that really matters to them. Something that really matters to your partner comes to fruition. Or is coming to fruition. I feel like it could be happening as we speak. Or maybe within the next week or two. I don't feel like this is a far way off. If it hasn't happened, something's going to come to fruition that really mattered to them. And they realize that this thing that's coming to fruition, I don't know what it is. Is it a job, a project, something, okay, that's coming to be? It had a big part of their issue in the relationship that they were taking out on the relationship. So maybe, I don't know, again, maybe it was a job, maybe they were having money problems and they finally got a job, or a project finally got accepted or is coming through, or there were issues with their children that have finally subsided, or there was a big family issue that they were dealing with. I mean, it could be anything. It could be a health crisis, anything that would generate our emotions. But this is recognition from your partner that in fact was the thing that was making them feel so incapable in this relationship. Yes. And that was feeding into the rigidity. Yep. Yeah. As we have the King of Swords here. Yeah, so with a dry sense of humor and in a very charming way, they are going to really try to take charge to seduce their way back into your life, Gemini. It's going to happen. They're going to be very determined. This doesn't mean you have to take them back. This doesn't mean you have to take them back. But, okay. One of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to get back together with them, and it seems like they want to, or you're going to completely break ties off forever. There will be no more hamster wheel, no more roller coaster. I'm going to tell you why. Because you guys have Jupiter in retrograde in the 7th house of relationships coming in April. So Jupiter is just such a beautiful, beautiful energy. And it's in your house of relationships. So I want you to think about Jupiter like this beautiful helper bee who's going to be in your house of relationships saying, okay, Gemini, so what was your problem over here? Okay, let's clean that up. And what needs to happen over here? Okay, I'm gonna give some blessings to that, and that's not going to be an issue anymore. And what do you need to talk about? And that's how Jupiter is going to work in your house of relationships. So either they're going to be there for you as full support if this indeed is a final cut in your relationship, or they're going to be there to bless you and hold your hand and help you rebuild this, because it needs to be rebuilt, because you had the Tower, and that means total annihilation. So you guys need to rebuild this from the bottom. Okay, Gemini, I want you to ask that question 3 times. Am I, and fill in your partner's name, going to get back together? Or are you and your partner's name going to stay broken up? It doesn't matter how you ask it, just ask it the same way 3 times. I'm going to pull a yes/no card. Okay, ask the question. Absolutely. That's a very beautiful card. Queen of Cups not only is a yes card, but it's a major arcana, which gives very long-term blessings. So, Gemini, there you have it. This was a beautiful spread. If this is what you want, you have free will. If they did something that really crossed you, you don't have to take them back. It doesn't matter how persistent they are. I hope this helped you guys out just a little bit. Thanks for joining me. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.